So now it's moving at warp speed compared to, say, the last 30 years.
Yes.
Where do you think it goes from here? Like, if you had to plot a reasonable timeline, 1 year out, 3 years out, 5 years out, what do you think will be revealed?
I think in the next year, we need to get, and I think from talking to directly with members of Congress, myself, in the last few months, to have a select committee with subpoena power with these firsthand witnesses being brought forward. Remember the little kind of initial hearing they had in July. I was meeting with Congressman Burchett and some of the others before then and helping them formulate what kind of questions they should be asking, and advising them. But I said, you need to have subpoena power, and they didn't want to do it. And I said, you have to, because otherwise you're only going to get people who are willing to come forward, like Mr. Grush, who I had met with when he was still deep undercover. And also I had spoken to David Fravor, and I said, Mr. Grush is a secondhand witness. He had the access to the people and the facilities that we want to bring forward, but he was secondhand. He didn't actually get into the underground facilities or the skiffs where the ET craft are stored. But I have people on my team who have been there. They have to be subpoenaed. So finally, there were 6 members of Congress a couple weeks ago wrote a letter to the Speaker of the House saying, we want to have a select committee that has subpoena power. That has to be okayed by the Speaker of the House, McCarthy. But he's favorable to it, I understand. And I know that the House Government Reform and Oversight Committee chairman is also supportive, Mr. Comer. So we're seeing that happen very quickly. The other big thing that happened, I think this is probably the biggest, was in June after we had our National Press Club event, and we had some compelling whistleblowers come forward who were not at the hearing you saw. So if people want to get on our YouTube channel, you can see that whole event. One of the things that happened is that the Intelligence Committee attached, and it came out unanimously, a provision for safe harbor or amnesty for these large corporations and individuals to come clean, come forward. And once it's passed by the House and signed by the president, it would give 6 months where they have to be compelled to provide, whether it's extraterrestrial bodies, spacecraft, man-made high-tech, what would they call AT, advanced technology, or ARVs, alien reproduction vehicles, which are man-made knockoffs of UFOs that you see. By the way, most of the footage you've seen is ours. It's not extraterrestrial.
Okay.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But so basically that puts a clock on it once that gets passed. Now it's not passed yet, but that's 6 months period. Now, when I first met with the senior folks in the Senate, they said, well, we might have to do a year and a half, give people time. Once they found out that there was, in fact, and I'll use this word advisedly, a criminal and treasonous organization keeping this information secret from the White House and the Congress, they're the ones who moved it from wanting to do a year and a half of amnesty to come forward to 6 months. So that gives you an idea how much progress has happened in their thinking of seeing how serious the problem is. Now, at that point, you're going to get into a conundrum. If you pass a law that then says it will be a criminal offense not to turn these materials and technologies over to the U.S. government within 6 months, how are you going to enforce it? So now I'm begun to get engaged in conversations, and I want to say this here on the record, that law enforcement will have to be stood up. And we hope it would be non-kinetic. In other words, not violent. What we're hoping is that people working in that system who don't know it realize, by virtue of the fact that the Congress doesn't have any information, that that is an unsanctioned and illegal project. And when law enforcement authorities appear, they will simply put down their arms. Because as it is now, those facilities have a shoot-to-kill order for those who are unauthorized to enter it. I know this also for a fact because I've been at these places. So I think that one of the big problems very quickly becomes what kind of teeth, what's the follow-up? Because I don't, it may be that these investigations with firsthand whistleblowers who Mr. Grush had spoken to and that are on my team are subpoenaed and it comes out in an orderly fashion. But you still would need the cooperation of the Lockheed Skunk Works and Northrop Grumman and Raytheon, E-Systems, SAIC. I know who these are. And, most of the people working on those companies are not part of these programs. These are extremely compartmented, beyond top secret, although top secret is the highest classification, but they're held by corporate compartments. Remember, U.S. government doesn't build anything. My uncle was Northrop Grumman his whole career, and he helped design the lunar module, put the first man on the moon. But, the U.S. government authorized it and funded it, but it was built by Grumman, became Northrop Grumman. So where the center of gravity on all this, ironically, is in the corporate sector more than the government. It's sort of a hybrid. So when you approach it from a governmental inquiry, they claim private corporate intellectual property. If you would take it from the point of view of a civilian going after a corporation, they cite national security.
Right.
So it's a hall of mirrors.
Wow.
And that game is very effective. We know that at the Dugway Proving Grounds, where there's a substantial facility underground and some that are above ground dealing with this issue, the contractors, the private contractors there, own 52% of the projects, and the government 48%. That's been set up deliberately. And the transactions there are in cash, cold hard cash.
To keep it quiet, to keep it secret.
Yes, and we have a whistleblower who will testify to this. So,
wow. Okay.
That's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to really get right down to the brass tacks. And while it's useful to have some of these jet pilots who've seen objects and had them on their instruments and radar and infrared sensors and whatnot, we really need people who've been boots on the ground. I hate to say that word, but in the trenches, working on this, on the retrieval teams. A lot of people don't realize my archive, we now have 122 cases of what Mr. Grush referred to, and that is these objects being targeted with electromagnetic weapons, like a portable EMP or even a fixed EMP, electromagnetic pulse weapon, downed and retrieved, autopsied or dissections of the ET beings, and studying reverse engineering of the craft. That began way before Roswell. It happened in the 40s earlier. And I can tell you that by October 1954, we had mastered what's called gravity control, which most engineers at MIT and elsewhere do not think we can do today.
Yeah.
But that was in a deeply classified project. Now, how do I know that? Because one of the people on my team, Richard Foch, who is the top scientist at the largest Department of Defense lab, the Naval Research Labs, but was on my team for many, many years. He's passed away from cancer not too long ago. However, he was in the vault and saw the papers that proved, and it stated October 1954 is when we mastered gravity control. Ironically, that in 1955, Eisenhower started the U.S. interstate highway system. And by that date, we didn't need highways. We could have been floating above, kind of like the Jetsons. I know it sounds funny, but those technologies.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy.
The greedy bankers,
are about to do it again. In 2008, they crashed our financial system and nearly bankrupted the entire global economy. Then they received trillions of dollars in government bailouts. And after, they demanded fat bonuses paid for by you, the taxpayer.
It turns out the banks haven't just been screwing the American taxpayers, they're also screwing over their investors. Turns out the banking industry is the worst place you could put your money, despite enormous taxpayer bailouts.
Now the bankers are back to take away your financial freedom. They lie and tell you that cryptocurrency isn't safe. They try to make it illegal for you to choose how to invest your hard-earned money. They lie and say cryptocurrency is used by money launderers and criminals. But look at the record. It's the banks themselves that launder hundreds of billions of dollars every year to the biggest criminal operations in the world.
Leaked documents have revealed how some UK banks have helped criminals, money launderers and Russians under sanctions.
American authorities discovered that the Sinaloa cartel moved $881 million through HSBC accounts as bank officials turned a blind eye to the illegality.
The bankers lie and say cryptocurrency is not a real investment. Meanwhile, the smartest CEOs in the world are buying billions and billions of it. The truth is that banks lie about cryptocurrency because it makes them scared. The banks take $9 trillion per year of your hard-earned money, and they are worried that they will finally be exposed. They're scared because crypto means they can no longer control your money, which means they can no longer control you. They are scared because you might actually understand your money and intelligently decide what to do with it. Now is the time for us to come together, fight back, and take control. It's time to educate ourselves, our families, and our communities. Because financial education means financial freedom. We know that cryptocurrencies will help us build the new decentralized financial system of the future. A banking system that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. A banking system where access to finance is a fundamental human right. A banking system that is free and fair and welcomes all humans on this earth. The DeFi revolution is happening. We, the people, can no longer be fooled. We choose to take control of our finances. We choose to take control of our freedom. We choose to take control of our future. Join us, and let's take back our financial freedom forever.